Good, boys and girls. Look at you guys going. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here, taking your time out of your, what day is it today? Taking time out of your Wednesday to be here with me at 7:30 p.m. EST, and I'm ready to teach you guys. Today's class is going to be on the easiest path to payout. That is today's topic. So we're going to be covering that. We're going to step onto the charts a little bit as well, because I know that me just talking to you guys like this gets a little bit boring for you guys, and I don't want that to happen, right? Where you guys just drift off into space and it's just this guy rambling on for an hour and you're like, oh, wow, I just wasted an hour of my time. Cool. Let's live trade with him again tomorrow. Let's not do that. Let's stay hyped. Let's get the energy going. I always start these things off, guys, with a nice little intro. Okay. I know that we have a lot of new people inside of the server. I know a lot of you guys have never even seen my face before. You guys have just seen my chart and my face, or my chart and my voice inside of VC. Well, now you get to know a little bit about me, my personality, who I am, why you guys should even listen to me in the first place, and everything that I've done to accomplish what I have to get myself to this point right here. So let's get going. My intros are basically the same across every single webinar, and I haven't done many of these, guys, okay? So if you've attended any of my webinars, you're about to get hyped because you already know what's about to come. If you haven't attended any of them, well, strap in because you are ready for an absolute treat. First things first, I said this in the first webinar, I'm ready to say it again every single time. I'm about to drop so much sauce on you guys, so much sauce that my grandma, is about to get really upset, okay? I'm about to feed you guys an insane amount of insight, and all I ask of you guys is to watch this with the full intent of listening without bias and just stick with me through the end. Okay, guys? I've been in this space for a really, really long time. I've seen names in here that I've known for a good 6 years now who have been in this space, right? I've known a lot of you since the first trading discords that were ever out on the scene, right? I was a part of every single one of them. It took me a really long time to try to accept, and DJ will vouch for me on this. He's forced my hand and made me show profits. I never used to show P&L. I never used to show payouts. But we're trying to get used to it, right? My main thing has always been like humility within this space. But now I'm trying to convert that kind of mindset over to how many more people can I impact? And if it means that I have to be a little bit more boastful to get more people in front of me, then so be it, right? Because at the end of the day, if I can help even just 5 more people, 10 more people, then incredible. You're going to hear a lot of things within this space and with other trading influencers. You guys have probably heard it before, but a lot of people call me the best trader that you've never heard of. I am literally your favorite mentor's favorite trader, okay? And there's a reason for that. I'm very systematic in what I do, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I get from point A to point B. And the only reason why I don't have a massive following in this space is because of the fact that I always push that humility, not flexing, moving in silence, but again, trying to positively impact every single one of you. And the only way to do that is through being a little bit more boastful, or again, my way of doing it is just through transparency and being me in terms of my personality. So once again, I appreciate you guys for being here. Let this be known, guys. This isn't just your other YouTube video that you guys can find online and think, oh, this guy's just going to teach psychology. Oh, like easiest path to payout. Let me Google search this real quick. Okay. If anyone is live with me daily, if you're inside of that VC, if you're on that stage with me every single day, then you guys know I drop my pep talks almost daily, where I'll start to pick your brain and just constantly reiterate the fact that you guys have the full capabilities of being better than who I am. You guys have the capabilities of making way more than I can. What is stopping you? It's not the fact that, oh, Ace hasn't given me money or anything of that sort. You guys can do everything you guys set your mind to. You guys might have not just gotten there yet. So this is me, Ace of Trades, taking my time and knowledge to share with you guys. So do me a favor. Let's not dilute grandma's sauce by sharing it. Otherwise, it's like broken telephone, right? Where the flavor just gets diluted in translation, and you're trying to reiterate what I said to someone else, and it's just getting broken up. And then, you know what? You took your time, your efforts, your dedication to be here today to listen, take notes, keep it to yourself, digest it all, and just be ready to learn, okay? I always like to start off with these tiniest little PowerPoints, and I know people hate PowerPoints, but stick with me. I just need to let you guys know who I am. So let me start sharing my screen and we get going. So again, guys, thank you for coming to the webinar. This is the easiest path to payout. This is actually sponsored by Top One Futures. So shout out Top One Futures. Thank you for working with me on this to give people accounts today to give away. And thank you for giving me my payout real soon. So I appreciate you guys. Let's go. So before I get started, I always introduce myself to those of you guys who don't know me so that you guys can kind of understand who you guys are even listening to, why you guys should even listen. I'm not trying to toot my own horn when I say this, but this is just to give myself a little bit more validation, just so that you guys know I'm legitimate, right? So first things first, my background and my history inside of trading, I graduated with an honors Bachelor of Commerce in finance, with a specialization in financial planning. I enrolled for both my master's and my CFA simultaneously, but ultimately dropped that when I became full-time in this and I saw instantaneous success. So the dream of being a portfolio manager or investment banker was just lost. I didn't want to work for a corporate and work those 9 to 5s and just grind my life away. That wasn't for me. I like my time management and my time freedom, which is my why, right? Everyone should have a why when you're in this space. So that is my why, if you were curious. So I got introduced to trading just over a decade ago now, while I was actually in high school. And I became full-time trader just halfway through that. I would say like 7 years full-time now. I don't know. I've lost count. But an interesting fact about me, and I say this all the time, my students have heard me say this multiple times now, and it's not to boast once again, but I've never been through the crazy trials and tribulations like a lot of you traders have been through. I didn't go through that whole process of losing a whole bunch of money before being profitable. And what I'm about to show you is a nice little tidbit of how I was able to do that, which is why we titled it The Easiest Path to Payout. Just over a year ago now, or just shy of a year ago, not even a year yet, Top Step dropped their leaderboards, and I was surprised to see my name up on the list. I made 267,000, and I didn't just make that in a month. I made that in just a couple weeks. And it was actually a lot more than that. This was posted after a little bit of a drawdown. I think it was like a 50K drawdown. My DLL got hit of 10K, and that was that. So that's a little bit about me in terms of Top Step. I'll show you guys here too. I got reached out to be on Top Step TV. I've had multiple 100K days. You guys can see right here. These were on Express accounts, so XFAs. It's not your little sims or your evals that everyone likes to post nowadays. I will always show that I'm actually on an XFA or a straight to funded, whatever the case might be. So that's that in terms of Top Step. Here is literally day's trade, right? So the trade that we took this morning, guys, Jordan called it out. He literally sniped. He literally sniped the top of this move. I waited for a little bit more confirmation, as you guys can see. Finally got my confirmation, and I still ran it all the way to the bottom. You guys can see my entries. You guys can see I had to do a flip day on my top one, so it was only $622. I made $1,182 across 2 expresses, and on my pro account, I made 2K, right? So we do be making the money. Here are my stats for my top one account. Shout out Top One. Thank you again for being the sponsor of today's stream. And as you guys can see, 2 flip days in a row, so $622 yesterday. And then in Asia, which counts as tomorrow, I made $593, already locked up. And there is another 6K week, which brings me to my total consistency of like 20.2%. I have 2 more days to make like $100 more, and this thing is wrapped up for a payout. As you guys can see, I've made 27 trades, 8 trades were losses. Funny fact about this, it's actually significantly less than 8 days. On this day right here on the 15th, I actually had to force it lower because my personalized daily profit target was set too high. I don't know why I put it at 4K, but it shot all the way up and I had to intentionally lose money. So I had to take a few more losses. So my trade win percentage is currently at 77% with the fact that I lost money with consistency. Average winning trade is currently sitting at 690 or 636.43. And again, those are getting pushed lower in terms of average wins because of the fact that I'm doing flip days. So pretty good stats for last week and this week. We haven't had a losing day yet with me, Jordan, and Adidas all in the same stage. We've been all killing it for you guys. So that's a little bit about me, my trading, what I do on a weekly basis, daily basis. This is literally right now. I was waiting for the webinar. I decided, hey, you know what? Let's get a few trades in while I'm waiting. Made $607 on my expresses, as you guys can see right here. Here's the calendar. I flipped over to my TSs once my top one was capped out. And then here is that top one account just on that flip day for $593. Here are some withdrawals. I know you guys like to see payouts. Here's my top or my TPT. And you guys can see right here, 4,200, 3,680, 774, 1,100, 1,462. I want this to be known, okay? This is, again, coming from a person who is absolutely transparent. I am keeping it 100 with you. A lot of trading influencers will show this screen right here, but they are affiliated with TPT. And if they are affiliated with TPT, it shows the same withdrawal process as if it was an actual account. Do not get fooled. I am not a big trader. I cannot make $4,200 in commissions. These were real gains. This is why I'm being transparent. So when people are showing and they're flexing their take profit withdrawals, keep that in mind, right? They don't offer their certificates like other props do. So again, this is just me being transparent, letting you guys know that's what I've been taking out recently. And that was my main prop as well as top one. Here are some of my students, my MM students, right? So before we even drop the sauce, I'm just letting you guys know that everything I have to say comes with validity. I have proof in the pudding from students, from myself, from everyone in this space, from all your favorite traders. They will all say like, yeah, I know who Ace is. I've heard of him. No one else really does, right? I'm starting to let you guys know, hey, you know what? I have a load of knowledge that I want to share with you guys. And I'm so excited that I get to do that with you guys today with this webinar. So you guys can see here, Kel's taking out $6,000. We got Chris right here. More Chris, some Wrath, which literally is top one. He just got this account, met the minimum and pulled out. We got some trader. Shout out to you guys. We got Vinny, my boy Vinny, who was just on top one or Top Step TV. So shout out to him. Here's some of his payments. This is Rams. He sits in this chair right here on this setup. You guys can't see it right now, but if you guys are ever on my lives where you get to see the full background with that camera that's back there, you guys will see he sits here every single day, but yet he is getting payout after payout after payout. Okay, you guys can obviously see this is on max accounts, so 5 accounts with 2,284. This one was 1,000 and obviously multiplied. Everyone can do this. He sits right behind me doing the exact same thing, watching, managing the streams, recording me, doing all the videography, and still getting it done. Nothing stops you from doing the same. Here's some more bigger players. So this, I wanted to make more of a fact of like, surround yourself around like-minded people. So this is just one of my best friend's portfolios, and we grew up together since we're like 4 years old, and we always just told each other we're going to be rich. He made it happen. I made it happen. Now it's about making the impact. Here's Jordan, guys. Jordan trades with me every single day live, and I know you guys might getting a little bit bored, or you guys might be a little bit inspired, right? I'm hoping you guys feel a little bit inspired. This is the fact that every single person that I want to surround myself with is getting those payouts. They understand what is necessary to get to that payout. So how can you guys do so? So there's Jordan. Obviously, he was on Top Step TV as well, live trader. And then here's some of his takes. Next, we got more bigger players, 1 mil account, 2 mil account, obviously with the profit of 835, 1.6 mil. We got Douglas over here on the side. And then this is where shit gets interesting. And excuse my French for swearing. This is where it gets interesting. And I saw him in chat. So I want everyone to go shoot him a follow whenever you guys have the chance right after this webinar. But his name is NATO Trades. NATO Trades, you guys can see right here, 2021, messaged me, took a mastermind, grew together. He went through the trials and tribulations. He went through it, guys. Over here on the other side is KJ saying, I learned from the best and treat your work with the highest respect. Can we talk soon? We always are on call. Literally, we called like 3 days ago. Here's NATO, number 4 currently on top 25 live funded traders in the zone. And then on the big board 25 live funded traders 2025, you guys can see who's in number 1. We got my boy KJ. And then at number 19, we do got NATO, right? Pulling out 40K. 40.5K, and that's not even on Top Step. Here's KJ, guys. $600,000 from Top Step, 65 from Apex, 43 from Tradeify. Nothing stops you from doing the exact same thing all us bigger players are doing. And they all learned from one person, me. But it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what kind of knowledge you have. And I'm going to show you why. So before we even get started onto the charts, I'm going to do, where is this? Stop sharing. Before we even get started onto the charts, okay, what I want to do with you guys is just give you guys a little bit of insight. I want to talk to you guys from the heart, one-on-one, okay? I want to let you guys know exactly what's going on with you and why you guys are going to resonate with what I have to say right now, okay? How many of you guys have heard, and again, this is very similar to the last webinar, how many of you guys have heard that it's all about discipline and consistency? Put some ones in the chat for me if you guys have heard that before. It's nice, right? Lots of ones, lots of ones. You guys have all heard it before. How many of you guys believe it? Let's be interactive. I want to talk with you guys. How many of you guys truly believe that it's all about consistency and discipline? I do 100. Yes, yes. We got a lot of yeses. We got a lot of yeses. And this is where I'm about to kind of just spin it on your head a little, okay? How many of you guys have blown accounts? Even though you're fully cognizant of the fact that it's all about discipline and consistency. I want to see almost every single person in here. And I can put my own self on that list. Today, yup, many, 55. I'm a professional degenerate. So a lot of you guys can relate and resonate with exactly what I'm saying. And it's probably tickling your little heartstrings right now because it's hitting really close to home, right? But you guys were all told the same thing. It's all about discipline. It's all about consistency. But yet, I'm sorry to say it to 165 of you guys, probably most of you, I would say even 95% of you have not received a payout. And it sucks to hear. And I understand you, okay? And I hear you. How many people here have not gotten a payout yet? Be honest. Be transparent. That's what we're here to do. We're here to speak from the truth. Me, hand up, me, lots of people, right? You guys are not alone inside of this space. A lot of you guys have not received a payout. A lot of you guys are really, really trying, but just can't seem to make it click just yet, right? But I like to view it from a different perspective, one that you probably have never heard before, and this is why I brought it up. So you guys probably heard that success in trading is all based on having an edge, making sure that you're consistent and being able to come in day out and day in and day out and abide by that, AKA your discipline. The way that I like to view things is the fact that you don't have a discipline issue. To be honest, you don't even have a consistency issue. It's crazy to hear that, especially since you've been told since the start of your trading that it's all about discipline. It's all about consistency. And don't get me wrong, those are major factors inside of this space. I'm just grinding your gears a little bit here. I'm going to throw an analogy out for you, okay, guys? So that you guys can understand this just a little bit better. When you guys went to grade school, right? You guys went from kindergarten all the way to grade 8 or whatever the case might be. You didn't go because you were disciplined. Let me make that known. You went because it was a system, keyword there. It was a system that was put into place that you were plopped into, and you guys were forced to go to school to learn some knowledge. The key word there again, system. So what you actually have is a systems issue. If you were struggling to stick to the plan that you put in place for your own self, for wherever it is that you want to go, I feel like you just haven't figured out the system that works for you. And that's what I try to do as a mentor in all of my classes inside of this webinar right now, is to make sure that I can provide some tools for every single person to nitpick and choose across the board to actually work for themselves. If you guys ask any of my students in here, I guarantee you almost every single one of them will say that they do not use the same strategy that I use. Will they use little tidbits of it? 1,000%. That's what they were taught. But do they use the same strategy to the T? No. A lot of them will actually take the opposite trades that I take. Whether if it was when I first started, and I know that a lot of you guys can relate to this as well, starting off on YouTube, typing in how to trade or trading for beginners or first steps to trading, and you guys found a video of some indicators. Ooh, cool. We get to throw indicators on our chart now, right? That's going to help with our conviction and our confluence. So you throw up an RSI and a MACD, looking at a couple divergences, thinking, I know what a divergence is. Look at this pattern. That's an ascending triangle. This is going to go bullish. Next thing you know, it starts to flush. Spent years down that road. A lot of you guys can relate. But whatever it might have been, no matter what indicator I placed onto my chart, no matter what strategy I wanted to utilize, it's always worked for me. And that sounds a little bit cocky. And this is why I wanted to reiterate the fact that I didn't go through the trials and tribulations like a lot of you guys did, right? Because for me, it wasn't the fact that I wasn't disciplined or I wasn't consistent. It's because no matter what system I wanted to use, I was going to make it work and see it through. I was going to make sure that success and inside of trading was inevitable. I wanted a foolproof plan. How do you create that? Is it just discipline and consistency? Because clearly, by the amounts of people in here that said you have not received a payout, it has not worked. So what needs to change? What's going to happen next? The thing is, you're trying to hop from the next best strategy. Oh, I learned SMT. Oh, I learned ICT. Ace, I know all of this. Your strategies are actually mediocre compared to the inner circle. I know where liquidity is. We're going to head to external liquidity and we're going to rebalance. I'm going to turtle soup you. Stop. Okay, that's enough. You're goofy. The fact of the matter is, you're not successful because your system is flawed and you're out of focus. You need to dial in. But how do you dial in, right? You guys are just listening to me ramble. Yeah, shit, this is resonating. A lot of you guys have blown accounts. You're wondering, man, I even got a payout, but I can't get to that next step where I'm consistent. How come I'm not consistent? I'm being so disciplined. Makes no sense. This applies to any goal that you guys set, okay? Whether it be financial goals, personal goals, even fitness goals for that matter, right? James Clear says in his book, Atomic Habits, I don't know if you guys have ever read that, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'll say it again. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. Great book. I agree. So what does that mean, guys? You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be fit and just wake up fit. You don't just start there right at your goal. You don't shoot for the stars and automatically you're there. What is your game plan? What are you trying to execute? What are the steps that are necessary that are going to get you from point A to point B? And how do you take each step along the way? Even myself, I've tried to win every single trade. I've tried to take every single setup possible and apply all the strategies at once. I'm not perfect. Have I gone through the trials and tribulations? No. But have I made a lot of mistakes along the way? Yes. Right? So just like you guys, I'm a huge abundance of knowledge. However, I can't just apply every single piece of information that I know onto the charts. That makes zero sense. That's actually one of the overs that we're going to cover, which is overanalyzing. So what happened, right? You find a new strategy, you backtest it. It looks absolutely phenomenal. This thing is bulletproof. Oh my gosh, it doesn't miss. Look at this guy. Oh my Lord. And then after a week, it fails. Why? Because that system clearly didn't work for you. It's that cut and clear. But the main thing here, guys, is that it probably was working. It probably could have worked. It's the fact that you're not compliant. When you were in that grade school, you were forced to be there. Here inside of trading, you got to be forced to follow your trade plan. You got to be forced to come in and day out and execute the exact same thing objectively. Are you in this trade? Yes or no? There are no room for maybes. As soon as you say maybe, close the damn computer because you're not ready to start trading yet. Everything that you look at your chart should be like, hey, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. The price action is doing this. These are my convictions. These are my confluences. This is an A+ setup. I'm entering. But a lot of you guys will see a green candle. Okay, you're going long. See a red. It's reversing. It's now lower than your entry. You guys reverse. Next thing you know, it's following your initial bias, but hey, you already reversed once, so you want to follow it. Next thing you know, you're at your stop loss. Is that a good strategy? I feel like I'm rambling. I apologize. I just speak very passionately about this because honestly, it's the easiest thing to take control of. And this is where a lot of people fail. This is why you guys still haven't gotten your payouts. Or if you have gotten a payout, you're not getting them consistently. You were not willing to take the system that you put for yourself to make it work. So it wasn't necessarily that you weren't disciplined, not the fact that you weren't consistent. You could have been disciplined following it nonstop, being consistent. And it's just not sticking because it wasn't meant for you. The thing is here, compliance is truly the science. That's why I'm rerouting the way that you think about trading, right? That's why I came in here full force, coming straight at your head tops, basically saying everything that you learned from trading, whether it be discipline and consistency, needs to be rethought about. Change the rules for yourself. Think about things differently. 99% of traders fail. I'm the guy who always stays on the sidelines, stays quiet, never really blows up on social media because personally, I make enough from trading to even give a shit. But again, what makes the difference now is that impact that I want to have on you guys. And I think I can change a lot of your guys' lives, even just through this single webinar today. 99% of traders fail. Why are you doing the exact same thing that everyone else does? Someone put in a chat, what's the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. But yet you wake up every single day at 9:30, you're hitting buy, you're hitting sell, you're hitting buy, you're buying, you're selling. right? No strategy in place, no system in place. You're like, oh, you know what? Tomorrow will be my day. I'm going to buy a new account. I know what? I'm actually going to buy an instant funded, right? A straight to funded. And I'm going to make sure that I can secure this. That way I don't have to go through the eval stage. Ha, big brain. You wake up the next day. It's 9:30. You hit the computer. Next thing you know, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. DLL. Now you're left with what? $600 in your account? The system's flawed. These props, and then again, I know that it's sponsored, but this is transparency. These props are designed to make you fail. How can you beat the odds? They make money off of you guys failing accounts. You guys saw it in chat. One person has failed 55 accounts. It's not absurd to hear. So, what works for you? Okay. What system is going to work for you? Are you book smart? Are you street smart? The system's not designed for everyone, right? It's all going to be subjective. That's why I brought up the fact that my students, even though they learned exactly what I teach, which is an A to Z mastermind, even though they took that every single class, they showed up, showed face, none of them used the exact same strategy that I do because they figured out the system that works for them. And that's why I was showing you guys their payouts because they understand that. That's why I'm showing you guys the bigger players of my students like KJ and NATO, where they understand what is necessary to get from point A to point B. And it's not changing your strategy every 2 seconds. What should work for you guys, right? So this is where we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. Enough of the pep talk. What should work for you? It's going to be writing down your rules and having a defined trade plan. What you guys are going to do is wait for that setup after figuring out what your trade plan is. And you guys are going to execute only after calculating the R to R. Isn't that insane? It's that simple. That's an outline that can fit almost every single person in here. I'm not telling you a strategy. I'm telling you what's necessary of your trading. I'm going to repeat it again. You're going to write your rules. You're going to define your trade plan. You're going to wait for the setup. And you're going to execute only after calculating the R to R. And your guys are going to hold, whether it be your SL or your PT. And if it no longer looks good based off the price action, then you can make that decision, right? Obviously, as long as it is defined in your trade plan. I want you guys to think about it like this. If you build out the most optimal, the best plan possible, and you only follow it 50% of the time, how optimal is that? Truly, if you guys made a diet plan and you guys only follow it 50% of the time, you guys really think you're going to lose weight? Not very optimal. I'd rather follow a plan with 100% compliance, knowing I'm going to give it everything I have. I'm going to actually stick through it. I'm going to follow it like no tomorrow. And even if it's only 50% as good per se, like when I used my RSI and MACD versus your ICT and SMT, I know that I will give my 100% compliance. Therefore, I'll get to where I want to go faster, even if the strategy is only 50% as good per se. And that's why I always bring it up, the fact that, again, never went through the trials and tribulations. And no matter what strategy I used, whether it be the RSI and MACD, whether if it be an 8 EMA to keep it absolutely simple, I was successful. I was getting my payouts. I was seeing 100% bangers on options. Switched over to futures, hit the leaderboard right away. Make it make sense. You guys have to figure out your lowest common denominators of what you need to do every single day, outline it to move you closer to your goal. I call those in trading my floors. So what does that look like? To me, maximum 3 trades a day, realistically, right? Obviously, there's scale in and scale out methods. So some of my P&Ls or my calendars might show the fact that it's triple that, like it's 6 or 9, but essentially it's 3 good trades per day. And then I'm calling it there. You guys have heard a lot of people say 1 trade per day. Jordan, as a good example, will come into the live, not take a single trade, and I'll be 3 trades deep. Adidas is 3 trades deep, and he still hasn't taken none because it has not met his system. It has not met his criteria. It is not an A+ setup for him, so he does not take it. He just said facts in chat. But as soon as he does see it, like today as an example, he hits 100% or 100 points, an absolute banger. So what is it in trading? What are my floors, right? It's going to be that 2 to 3 trades, 1 to 3 trades per day, sometimes none. I don't trade on Fridays. That is a big thing for me. I've lately switched it over a little bit just because these props do require minimum days. Therefore, I will trade on the Friday. However, I won't alert anything or I won't sit inside of a live. That way, it's just me and my strategy with no noise, and I can just get it done. On record, and this is why I want you guys to record your stats, is figure out, again, your lowest common denominators. If a Monday is ruining your whole week, where you start the week, you're super excited, too excited, you have all these emotions, and you start off the week and next thing you know, you're red and the next 4 days are just catch up. Or on the flip side, you guys make all this profit. And just like me, that Friday used to wipe out all your profits. What do you think you should do? Probably adjust that day, right? Even if it means don't trade it. Jordan doesn't trade on Mondays for the exact same reason. I don't trade on Fridays for the exact same reason. Kels does not trade Globex for the exact same reason. There's a lot of reasons to not trade Globex, whether if it be slippage and spread or the fact that it's not volatile enough to get the movement that you want. You make it part of your system to say, I refuse to trade Asia. I refuse to even just wake up for London, and I'm going to wait for the New York session. Therefore, I'm only executing my best trades, right? Whenever I do so. And those are what I consider my floors. If I know that if I do those 3 things on a daily basis, I know that I'll make as much progress as possible. And even if I'm not making as much progress as possible, right? Because let's just say my strategy is 50% worse than yours. Guess what? At least I'm getting closer. And this is why, again, I constantly reiterate throughout this whole webinar already. It did not matter what strategy I was using, I was going to be successful. I made my first 6 figures, guys, my first 6 figures, the big 100000 using an RSI and MACD. But yet, everyone in here probably knows a lot more than I did at that time. But yet, I'm more successful. But yet, I was getting payouts. Again, it might not be a discipline and consistency thing anymore. Discipline and consistency are part of the system, but the overall premise is the strategy itself. All of my students that are in here, what is the first thing I tell you guys to build out? What is the first thing I tell you guys to build out? Your plan, your trade 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 plan. Do you guys see the difference right now? Between all you guys who have not received payouts and my students, they have a plan in place. Therefore, what is the criteria that you need? This is why I didn't want it to be like every single webinar saying, this is the best strategy. You guys will make millions of dollars if you guys just execute this orb. No. What is your plan? I don't care what your strategy is at the end of the day. The easiest path to a payout is following your strategy. Again, this is where I'm going to tie it back in with discipline and consistency all together to create a foolproof system. Man, I struggled on that. That was hard. But how's it going to work for you? At the end of the day, I want you guys to realize this because a lot of you guys are trying to chase these big numbers. You guys are trying to get those payouts in the minimum amounts of days, right? Oh, it's 5 days until I can get a payout on TS. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to full port every single chance I get, even with the scaling rule. I'm going to go 2 cons as soon as this XFA opens. 2 minis. Oh, top 150K accounts. I'm allowed 15 cons. I'm going to 15 con this. I can make 8K right now. Make it make sense. At the end of the day, slow motion is better than no motion. And clearly, as fast as you guys have been going, you guys have made no motion. You guys have heard of long-term portfolio holders, right? The richest people and the largest accounts inside of brokerages are people that are dead. And that's because they just hold. They're patient, right? It's the people that are patient, it's the long-term portfolio people where they're saying traders are gamblers. And guess what? They would be right if they saw what you were doing. It's not going through account after account after account after account that's going to make you successful inside of this space. It's about being consistent. It's about being disciplined through your system. Once again, routing everything all together. Dead people are so patient. I couldn't agree more, Lord. At the end of the day, it isn't simple, or it isn't easy, sorry. But it is simple. All you have to do is not overcomplicate it. Are you guys ready to hop on the charts? Was that good enough for you? Was that a good little insightful? You guys ready to learn a little bit more? Were you guys cringing at that or did you guys resonate? Were you guys like, shit, you know what? This guy's actually speaking facts and maybe I should listen. Maybe I should actually write out a plan. Maybe I should actually figure out what my real strategy is instead of clicking buy and sell every time I hear or I see a green candle or a red candle. The thing is, I've gotten multiple messages and I got it from one person who's here right now. And I'm actually going to read it out loud. It's literally in my DMs. I gave a full pep talk earlier this week. And he just said, I appreciate your pep talk yesterday as well. Really changed my mindset. Today they were posting profits. Don't let what I'm saying today during this webinar go in one ear and out the other. I've literally given you the plan. All you have to do is figure out your strategy. I'm going to show you guys one right now, right? Figure out your plan. From there, follow it consistently with discipline. So tying it in with your system, and then you're abiding by that. Make it boring for real. I want you guys to be so bored when you guys trade. In all honesty, like the community is fun. You go into a community and it's fun because you're around like-minded people, like-minded traders, these analysts who are actually patient and waiting for their trades, but boring to the point where you are just waiting there, staring at the chart until that A+ setup comes. And then you can execute. Best golfers play boring ass golf. No hero shots, no big dicks, for real. You want to say hi to everyone? Super quick. We don't have time. You're taking up their time. Let's get onto a chart. Let's show you a quick strategy and let's get through exactly what are, obviously a lot of that was the easiest path to payouts, but what actually can help you get there. What are some tips and tricks? So we will go through that as well. This was not a class about strategy, okay? This is not a class about, oh, this strategy, this following this writing, this 8 EMA or using time frame continuity to get my FEG and go for external liquidity. This is the best foolproof plan. This is not that type of class. What I'm doing right now is just giving you guys a little bit of something just so that you guys can stay on your toes and like, you know what? I might be able to integrate this. Last time that I taught a webinar, I taught you guys basing candles, literally volumetrics 101, supply and demand, right? Surplus versus shortage. Literally, the market is filled with supply and demand. It's literally liquidity, right? It's buyers and sellers. So that's what we went through last webinar. This webinar, we're going to keep it super simple. At the end of the day, I want you guys to execute a plan that is so simple that you guys can see with your own eyes as soon as it happens, to the point where you say, I can execute this. This makes sense to me, okay? You guys have all heard of the orb, right? This is the biggest thing that's being taught right now. It's literally circulating all over your guys' socials. The orb is everything. How many of you guys have heard of orb? Put ones in chat. How many of you guys use orb? A lot of people use orb. And for the people who don't know what it is, an orb is just your opening range, okay? So we're going to use the orb today because it's literally circulating everywhere. So we're going to join that little bandwagon, even though I've been doing it for like 5 years. And what you're essentially doing with your orb is you are marking out the typical range is your 15. The orb basically started as what, your 30 seconds, your 10 seconds, because it's considered what you actually open at. But for an actual range, a lot of people like to gauge it off of a 15-minute candle. So you're going to mark off your high of your 15 open, which is right here. You're going to mark off your low. Here you have what's called your ORH, your opening range high. Over here, you have your ORL, okay? Your opening range low. How does this help you in terms of finding out a play? It would have worked really, really well today. Because look, she establishes her range. She breaks through her opening range low, and then she continues all the way through. Because essentially, you figure out where your range wants to be set for that given session. As soon as you break either your high or your low, that is your continued bias for that session, unless it equates to chop, which obviously is a little bit of a different strategy. I want to help you guys a little bit here too, okay? If there is news at 10 p.m., what do you guys think you guys should do? Especially since a lot of these props do not allow you to trade news. I want to see if one person can say what it is. There we go. Some trader, one of my students. A lot of people are saying don't trade. I agree with that, right? I might still take a trade up until that point. However, what you want to do and establish if you are a more patient trader, move up your time frame. If most news drops at 10 o'clock, right? It's either before the market open at 8:30 or 10 o'clock. Then you open it up. Here's your 30 minutes. You still established your range. It comes, test inside, breaks back down. Let me go on a lower time frame so I can show you guys. There you guys go. You even get a retest candle before a nice little flush comes back. You could get a second entry and there's your continuation. So the orb, is it good? Yeah, I think so. I've been using it forever. It's one of the things that have always stayed on my given chart. Do you guys have to use it? No. Figure out what strategy and system works for you. I want to show you guys right here. The slide that I literally just pulled up for you guys. I just took a screenshot of it. So the rest of it is cut off. That trade where we see the continuation is this right here. Exact same premise. I missed the 15, as you guys can see. Beep, 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 boop. Missed the 15, right? She just kept flushing. I didn't want to get into that because I like to see actual pauses with a real break. Unfortunately, it just breaks straight through it, which does make sense because you take out your Asia lows, right? So you take out your Asia lows, she comes to test it, obviously can't push higher, and she breaks. Jordan enters. Unfortunately, I was still sitting on hands until that point where we reach right here, like I just showed you guys, right? But that was your 30-minute orb. So now you get a second chance of entry if you don't get your confirmation based off your 15. There's a little bit of sauce. Again, this is not the best strategy in the world. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible for all you beginner traders or people who are just lost in your system. And then we're going to go into the real stuff afterwards in terms of really getting that payout. So that was that trade right there. How can you add added confluence? What's going to help you guys? I use something called fib extensions. Okay. You can find out your deviations. You guys have heard multiple indicators use deviations, right? Your Bollinger Bands, your Keltner channels, literally everything across the board is using deviations. I've learned that you can create deviations off of your orb. What is your opening range that has been set? Create your deviations off of that, and you can target your Sigma 1, Sigma 2, but you guys can also target your golden ranges inside of those zones. So this is where we're taking a super simple strategy, right? Like using the orb, and you guys can just throw an EMA on there, and there you guys go. You guys got a plan, or you guys can do just this. So I'm going to show you guys right here, and you're just going to draw one out super quick. It's not going to abide by anything. And here are my given settings for it. 2 seconds. There you guys go. You guys can always rewatch, take a screenshot, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I like to save time, so my fib extension is the same as my fib retracement, and you just build a template. How do you build a template? You click on here, click save as, type it out, blah, 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 and then you can title it as you see fit. Therefore, I'm going to mark out that 15 minutes like how I did, and bang, level to level. We touched, we executed, and we trimmed. So you guys are wondering, oh, I don't know, like I know how to enter, but I don't really know where I should be targeting. Guess what? I just gave you price targets. It breaks back inside, you've now invalidated. You can cut that thing short. Could be as simple as that. Nothing stops you from re-entering the trade once it is valid. So why is it that when it invalidates, you guys are still holding that same trade, hoping and wishing that the market listens to you just once? If it goes back to break even, I'll cut. No, just cut it short. You guys have heard it multiple times now, right? Cut your losers super quick, but let your winners run. But a lot of you guys will see green and take green. It needs to make sense. What it is your R to R. That's why I said find out your lowest common denominators and execute your A plus setup after calculating your R to R. Therefore, if I were to enter into this trade, as an example, here's my entry. So say if it comes down, that's cool. I enter. She comes up a little bit, she pushes back down. I'm entering off of a break of that. That's our 236, right? I can place my stop loss right above if necessary. And guess what? Oh my gosh, a 47 pointer. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Guess what? You could be right. What do you think you should do if we're this volatile on a day? Nothing stops you from sizing down, but you guys like to over leverage. Make it make sense. If the chart is crazy volatile, you don't have to stick with your minis. You don't have to go 15 cons. You'll get wiped after 5 points. Make it make sense based off the price action you are given. Even if you wanted to cut it even shorter, say if it literally just broke back inside orb. There you go. Wrist off 10. I literally see Jordan sometimes in chat holding a trade, which can go down 30 points. And he's completely fine with that, but yet look how successful he is. He's not trading with minis, guys. He's trading with micros. So from here, I can either target my 2, right, which would have given me a 2.5. And even if that was the case, say if I wanted to take my first trim at that 618, right, your golden ratio, you've still made a 1.23. Therefore, this trade is valid. We now have a better than 1R. If you were looking for a 2R, right, before you trim, that would be right around here. And she targets it regardless. Look how much more she continues to go. Jordan absolutely printed today. I only caught a sliver of it, which was still like 160 points. It was literally 260 points you could have caught. Simplest strategies. Look at the levels, guys. Once again, there's a reason why fibs make sense. Fibs are in everything that you do, okay? It is a naturally occurring pattern from your daily routine, from when you wake up and you go shower, you brush your teeth and step into a chart. That can be calculated through fibs. A perfect spiral can be calculated through fibs. Ask any engineer in here. They will tell you they utilize fibs. Any statistician or any mathematician, they will tell you they use fibs. Therefore, we started to apply it onto our chart and into our indicators, such as those Bollinger Bands and Keltner channels and everything else that uses deviations, even my volumetrics. Lord of Mangoes just said, former math teacher, I use Bollinger Bands and fibs. There you guys go. What was I even saying? Oh, even my volumetric. So even on the more advanced strategies where we're really trying to figure out what is our distribution, right? Some of you guys have probably taken stats, at least 101, where you guys see that full curve, right? Where you're trying to see where is that weight perfectly distributed in terms of a normal distribution. And then how do you make that make sense with the given chart? We use that as well, right? We're not trying to overcomplicate it, but I will show you guys what that kind of looks like. And it looks like these levels that you guys see all on your right side. It's called your value area high, your value area low, your POCs. Those are all calculated through using deviations, calculating your sigmas for that given session or your previous week, so on and so forth. Therefore, when you guys enter, and you guys are wondering, hey, what is the one thing I took off of this webinar? Cool. I need to follow a system. Amazing. What is my system? Hey, Ace showed me this. You know what? I'm actually going to try it out. If orb is broken, right, and there's no news at 10 o'clock, then maybe I can execute a trade off that 15-minute orb. I'm going to wait for a breakthrough of either my ORH or my ORL. I'm going to draw up my fib, calculate what my R to R would be, and then we're going to execute it from there. This is without adding any other convictions, guys, or confluences. I could easily add in, hey, what are my given targets, right? Have we seen previous month low? What is our previous week low? What is our current week low? Mark out those levels as well. Like there's so many things that you guys can do to make your trading that much better as well. This is just two pieces of information that you guys can do to really level up. And it's super simple. I'm not gatekeeping anything. This is literally what I use. One of the key things that I use, fibs, trying to find out my deviation, finding out my sigma for that 15-minute OR or my 30-minute OR, and you work based off of that. Now, if you ask how many of my students actually use this, a lot of them will actually say yes now, right? We don't use the perfectly same methods, but this is something that a lot of them still integrate and use. And we're giving it to you guys for free because I want you guys to get these payouts. That's enough of the buying accounts and blowing accounts every 2 seconds, trying to over leverage and try to figure out what's the best system out there. You guys heard of ICT. Therefore, you guys are scrolling through every single one of his videos and he's teaching you about turtle soup. I want you guys to note this as well. Every single strategy that you guys have seen, it's called something else in another strategy. They're just reworded and rebranded nowadays. Keep it simple. What's the system that works for you? Stick with it. It's that simple, okay? How would this execute on a 30-minute now? Again, going to the same strategy. This was not a class about strategy at all, but yet here we are, okay? So we're going to drag that down all the way right there. Do you guys notice something? That 30-minute OR perfectly aligns with our 2618, meaning we got one sigma, so one deviation away from our OR 15, and then hit right into that golden zone. Now let's imagine if we drag this all the way down. Interesting. If anyone knows fibs other than your golden zone, what is the number one point of retracement? One of my students, please put it in chat. Your biggest point of retracement. There you guys go. Other than your golden ratio, so your 618, right, which is considered your deep retracement, your biggest confirmation, it's going to be the start of your golden zone. The golden zone goes from your 382 all the way down to your 618. Right? In between is your 50%. Your 50% in technicality is not a real fib. If you guys know fibs or studied fibs, you guys will know 50% is not a real fib. However, it shows and has been proven time and time again that in the middle, the smack middle of our golden zone, which would be our 50%, has always ruled true. And this is why with ICT concepts, all our bigger players now, right, who have a way better strategy than I do. Even with your 50%, you've now created consequent encroachment. Therefore, if I were to find my rebalancing, right, where does price need a balance and rebalance? Hey, it just targeted my 50% of my fair value gap. That's just your CE. Congrats, you found your 50%. There's your midline. So how can we make this trade make sense? Okay, same exact thing. We calculate what our R to R must be. I don't know that it's going to bounce here, right? Because we're just entering based off of a crack, right? So we're going to target our 618, right? That could be our first full PT. We're going to trim along the way, obviously, right? Say if it went here, we obviously see that it failed to break higher. We can now enter. We can now target the start of that given structure. Again, this is keeping it super simple, right? Where we're playing market structure. What are the given highs? What are the given lows? I can target this structure, either target upper, right? Or lower, and guess what? We still have a massive R to R. We can target it. even if we wanted it on the lower end, right? Say if we wanted that 3A2, guess what? You're still at a 3X. You're still at a 3R. Even if you were to go to the upper range, 1.5, it still makes sense. Therefore, you've given yourself entry criteria to make everything picture perfect clear. Again, keeping it super simple. That's enough of the charts. I want to talk to you guys again. How was that in terms of like the simplest strategy possible? Because I'm not here to try to blow your minds away from the most advanced strategy and try to confuse every single person in here. My objective right now here in front of 158 of you guys now, it used to be 170, I don't care. My goal here is to make sure that you guys can define a system, and that is one of the simplest things that I can possibly do to you for you guys to get a full PT with entry criteria. What is your stop loss? What is your market structure? Does it break back inside of orb? You guys can define it for yourself based off of your risk tolerance, okay? And what your strategy actually allows. If you're using minis, whether you're using micros, but you make it make sense. I'm pretty sure Amar did a whole small account challenge based off of EMAs, literally. Amar is one of my students, guys. He's been kicking it with me for the longest time. He became full-time after hitting a single trade of like $100,000. I've literally been through it with him for like 6 years now. He's been in the space with me for like 6 years, from my student where he just takes a class, and he's been running with basically the same strategy ever since. And it's so simple. Literally, we're talking EMAs and maybe a few FVGs out here. But point of the matter is, he kept it systematic. He's still on options. So he's dealing with a lot more criteria and factors than you guys are, right? Because now he has the Greeks to take into effect, but yet he makes it work. He's still getting payouts. One of those screenshots that I posted up there earlier and I showed you guys, that was a Mars. That 500% on portfolio, that was a Mar. You guys can do it too. I guarantee you. Okay. So what are the tips here that we're taking out from this? Okay. So obviously we have a strategy in place, right? Whether it's we're using the orb and we're using our extensions off of that. Also, to all my students in here, you guys obviously already have a free orb extension indicator that I've given you guys. Keep utilizing that. Tip number one, I'm not trying to hold you guys here forever. We're already, it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm so sorry. Tip number one. Okay. Platforms like your Trade-of-8 or Top One, they allow you to set two big things, your PDLL and your PDPT. So your personalized daily loss limit, you guys can adjust it. Therefore, one bad day or one bad trade doesn't affect your whole week where you're trying to play catch up, or you're blowing that account and buying a new one that same day. So why aren't you guys setting it? In terms of a PDPT, depending on which prop that you guys are utilizing, if it's a 20% consistency, guess what? You don't need to shoot for the stars. I made it so much harder for myself by over trading. I didn't set my PDPT, which obviously it shows, and now I had to make 13,500 instead of the 9K goal. I have a lot of buffer, yes, but I made it that much harder for me to get that payout. Why would I do that? It makes no sense. One thing I could have done, you set that PDPT. Do you guys want me to show you how to do it super quick? Or are you guys good? Everyone understands how to do it. Okay. I'm going to show you guys super quick. I'm literally going to log into Top One Futures Project X, log in. I don't even care that it shows my account number. Genuinely don't give. Share screen, Top One Futures. There you guys go. Okay. You guys can easily set it right here. I'm already locked out for the day, so I can't even adjust it. But right now, because I'm doing flip days, I have my PDLL set to 1,000 and my profit, my personalized daily profit target was set to 1,400. You guys should do the math, okay? On a 50 or on a 150K account, right, with 20% consistency and a 9K goal, that means you need to make 1,800 for 5 days. You shouldn't surpass 1,800, otherwise you push your consistency higher. Therefore, you set your PDPT to 1,800. You don't go any higher than that. And you make sure that you set it to liquidate and block. Same with your PDLL. How much are you actually willing to risk, right? Based off of your strategy, how much drawdown do you necessarily take? And then you make it make sense, right? Liquidate and block once again. Therefore, you cannot trade for the rest of the session and blow up the whole account. Do you know how many times I've gone to like plus 5,000 and then I've hit a full MLL? Because I went for more. If I just stopped, it would have been fine. It's super easy to do, even on Trade-of-8, guys. You guys can do it in Trade-of-8 as well. It's not as good, right? Which is why I've actually said Project X, I used to hate on because of all the slippage and the spread. but they are significantly better now. So this is what you guys want to do and set up in terms of your risk settings. That way, one bad day or one bad trade is not blowing your whole account. Easiest thing to do, okay? The easiest tip. Tip number 2, okay, is stop being so reactive to the market. Like I said before, the thing that you guys need to be is a lot more objective. What is my entry? Is it a yes or a no? There's no room for maybes, like I said. Is there an entry? Is the R to R? Does it make sense? Yes? Cool. I'm entering. What does your trade plan outline? How can you abide by it? What are your convictions? What are your confidences to actually enter into a trade? So say if you're using that same game plan that I showed you, right? You calculate what your risk might be, whether if it be you're targeting your midline as your stop loss, or you're using previous structure like I showed, or you're using an 8 EMA or a 5 EMA as added confluence. Does not matter. Like I said, at the beginning of my trading career, I was still successful using the shittiest strategies. My win-loss was horrible. Guess what? You can have a losing win rate. You can literally have a negative win rate, right, where it's sitting at 36% and still be profitable. You can have a 99% win rate and never be profitable because it takes one trade to blow your whole account. Like I've been saying throughout this whole thing, make it make sense. Create the system, outline it all, follow it to a T. Simple, okay? Every time you see a green candle, you're long. Every time it reverses on a 1-minute candle, you're flipping. Next thing you know, your initial bias was right, but you're already in the short. So you hold, and next thing you know, your account's gone. Make it make sense. Tip number 3 is exactly what I said. I want you guys to calculate on all these accounts with the instant fundeds and the straight to fundeds and all of that kind of stuff. I want you guys to calculate, please. Even if it was on elites or growths account, calculate if it's a 35% consistency or if it's a 20% consistency. Then you mark out what your personal daily profit target is and your personal daily loss limit is. You put that in, because guess what? Say if it's even on, I'm going to say another prop. I'm not shouting it out because we're sponsored by Top One. Shout out Top One. Say even if you were on Tradeify, right? And then it hits the DLL on a 50K. You're left with like $600 if you didn't set an actual DLL for yourself. You're basically screwed. You've given yourself so much to scratch back now with not a lot of drawdown. It has to make sense. Therefore, you must calculate what your goals need to be to get these payouts. Whew, that was long-winded. How was that for everyone? That is literally the easiest things to get payouts. You create the system, you abide by it. With your system, then you are consistent and you have discipline, because being consistent and disciplined doesn't mean shit without the system. I tell everyone this. Everyone always says, oh, psychology is 100% trading. That's what trading all is. No, it's 100% psychology, 100% your system. You need both. You can't just have psychology. Do you have any suggestions on how often or what percentage of winnings to withdraw from TPT? That's going to be subjective. I always leave enough buffer, Kels. That's my main thing. I never wanted to go below my buffer. Miss our classes like this. You're awesome, Ace. I appreciate you. Reason Ace is the GOAT mentor right here. I appreciate you guys. Just joined, busy with the work. Is this recorded by chance? It is. How was everyone? What was your main takeaways from this? Was it helpful? Was it not? We can get to the giveaways as soon as you answer, so please answer. I'm trying to be very interactive with you guys. I don't want you guys to just sit here bored listening to me. Very helpful, very helpful, helpful, very helpful. Main takeaway, I miss your classes. I miss you, Devin. Helpful, very helpful, helpful. I appreciate every single one of you guys, once again, for taking your time to absolutely listen to me become a king of Yaponomics. I literally have a degree in this, and we can run the giveaway. I appreciate you guys. Once again, this is the easiest path to payout, right? Following those tips that I just gave you and making sure that you guys have a system in place. I even showed you guys a little bit of strategy, and obviously this was a long class, but it was probably one that you guys needed to hear, and it was long overdue. It is everything and everything. So I have zero plans, guys, to do a mastermind right now, but you guys can purchase the mastermind recordings, right, of the old mastermind, which if you ask any of my students, was really, really well designed by me. I took everything from my previous masterminds, scrapped what needed to be scrapped, only taught what was necessary, and we killed it. As you guys can see, all those people who have gotten payouts. And again, it doesn't matter what strategy you use. So I'm not here forcing your hand, basically saying, take my mastermind, I'm trying to sell you. No, my whole game plan from the point of this webinar was to get you from point A to point B, which is getting that payout. Whether if it was showing you a simple strategy or telling you something that you really needed to hear, my objective is complete. Can you explain one more time how to calculate what the daily take profit should be? Yes. So you take your goal, right? So if it's a 150K on most of the accounts, it's a 9K goal, right? You divide that by 20% consistency. That gives you 1,800. And you can do that on every single one. And this is why I like 150K accounts. Yes, the 50K accounts make the most sense mathematically. The reason why I say that is because your DLL is set to 2K, but your profit target is set to 3K. Therefore, you only need to make 1.5 times what your DLL is. However, for a 150, you have to make 2 times because you're given 4,500, but your goal is 9K. Guess what? As soon as I reach that profit target, it now subtracts 3,500 if it's a top one account, which this is why I love top one. Their payouts are massive in comparison, right? So you can leverage 3 accounts, get 150s, and every single payout get 3,500 from that, right? But when you subtract 3,500 from that 9K, look how much buffer you still have to play with. It's massive. Whereas if it's a 50K, right? And let's just say the goal was 3K, but you're allowed a $2,500 payout, you give yourself $500 of DLL to work with. That's really hard to get that second payout. This is why I say make everything make sense based off of your strategy. I appreciate you guys for all taking your time to be with me. Thank you for all the early happy birthday greetings. I appreciate you all, and I hope that you guys all trade safe for the rest of the week. I love you guys. Have a good night and trade safe. Later.